This video has been cooking itself for quite some time. This is what I've learned in the 7 years since I've started my sexual growth journey. 2 years of those were private. They were not in the open, so they were not about work. They were just my personal journey of filtering out things, learning, understanding myself, healing, and so on. The other 5 have been public because I've went public with the work that I do. So the story that I have for you right now, it is mixed and matched. What I want to say that this journey, in my case, has been a, long and relatively lonely one. Meaning, I was mostly without a partner throughout these years. And this isn't because there weren't people out there willing to have sex with me and I with them. It was because I didn't meet somebody who wanted to go deeper, somebody that I could take this journey for the long run. The first thing that I saw is that most people go for the adventure, the new, the exploration. As we say in Romania, most tend to jump from flower to flower. This isn't to judge, however, this wasn't and isn't still what I'm looking for. And I know that in my case, this does not make me happy. It makes me much happier, in my case, to do my practices and invest my energy, sexual, creative, in other things. Another thing that I've learned is that most people, even those that are truly devoted to this path, and even those that are just curious and they just take a look and then they move on, most of them will start with technique. And for a lot of people, it's all about quantity, performance, and simply impression that they make, how to do this to their partner, how to do that, how to give them an orgasm, how to give them multiple orgasms, and so on. So it's mostly external driven. Some people will bring the locus of control or of evolution towards the inside. Those are, in my opinion, more rare. I'm sure this will change, but I haven't yet seen the majority of people shifting towards that. I may have just simply not met enough people. This is also true. As a facilitator right now, it was a surprise for me to see how many people will talk about this. And to me, there's a distinction between sharing what you've understood, what you've learned, and then the people that are actually trained and holding space for others to grow in this path. There are 2 different processes. One is your personal growth and maturity, and the other one is your capacity and your growth and your maturity in your capacity to hold space for others. 2 different things. Many people have different trainings and yet they start doing either videos or interviews or sometimes even classes on the topic of sexuality. And to my surprise, there are many people who will also buy that. This is something that I'm not judging, I'm simply observing. It was a surprise for me to see. A lot of us seek models when it comes to a successful person, and a successful person nowadays is somebody who's also mostly, in most cases, in a successful relationship, which shows and looks like it's successful from the outside. So many people tend to orient themselves and tend to follow people that look good in pictures, people that look good with their partners in pictures, though we don't know much about their capacity to help others to grow on this path. One thing is to grow for yourself, and a completely different thing is to support others to grow on their path. simply because we can't take a model from somebody and copy paste it on our lives and call ourselves successful. And just because somebody succeeded in their own lives, which is beautiful and that is an achievement, which is worth celebrating, appreciating, absolutely. However, that doesn't mean that this person can help others for them in their lives, with their personalities, with their life challenges, to become the successful version of themselves in their intimate relationships and simply as intimate partners. Success in our lives is an inner job. And people who hold space for us, the process that it requires, essentially it's not something that you just do because you're successful in your life. You can inspire others, you can motivate them to go on their path, that's for sure, with your own success. But holding actual space for others to overcome their challenges, totally different thing. Sadly, not so many people make this distinction. Inspiration is good, muses are excellent, guides and facilitators and coaches and all of that, that's a different thing. Boundaries are an extremely important topic, and they are not sexy at all for most people. However, in the years that I've also been a facilitator, not just a human being trying to identify the best match for me, boundaries were one of the reasons that people got into relationship trouble, relationship crisis, and breakups. And boundaries don't just mean say no if you don't like it. They're so much more complex than that. There are so many nuances there, especially around how you say what you want, up to which point you want it, how you want it, how you listen to the other, how you find mutual ground in your preferences and in your desires. That is the mastery of the erotic and erotic relationships and intimate relationships. That is, like the practice that you can never become good enough in this life. There's always something to perfect there. There's always a nuance more and a shade more to see and to understand and then to embody. It is still surprising to me that even now in the 21st century, this work, the sexuality growth and sexual development work and simply intimacy coaching, is mistaken as entertainment as opposed to personal growth. So entertainment are all the beautiful, shiny, exciting things that you see, which are made for your entertainment. So to make you relax, unwind, see something pleasurable, make you forget about all the other things and just focus on that pleasure and enjoyment. And make no mistake, I'm not judging this. I'm simply saying that personal growth has you in the hot seat, so it's a proactive approach, and you're there, or you come to the discussion table looking at the stuff that you do well, the stuff that maybe you don't do so well, the stuff that you want to bring in as novelty or as your personal evolution, so you want to become different, more complex, more capable or masterful, or simply grow into the new you. Personal growth doesn't mean that it's something cheap or immoral or unethical, and none of that. However, to this day, there are so many people, even from older generations, so people who are allegedly much wiser, and they've seen a thing or two in their lives, and they would understand growth. Even some of those people, when they hear anything related to sexuality, oh, it's entertainment, it's cheap, it's, come on, you can do better than this. So the stigma, the shame, the shaming, the low quality associated with sexuality is still there. This will collectively, this will be a huge leap forward in this part of our lives. At the time of making this video, sexuality is not a preoccupation or a priority for the majority of us. Simply because we're going through a pandemic and people's jobs are at stake, people's survival, people's livelihood and lives in some cases are at stake. So sexuality, for the sake of growth, just like arts and anything around pure education, which requires a much more peaceful and tranquil setting, have been affected. For the majority of us, when we're thinking and speaking of erotic and sexual and growth and fulfillment in this area of our lives, we're still thinking of exceptional, extraordinary images and scenes and people and way of dressing, way of expressing, ways of behaving. So everything that is just not their usual mundane, embodied, grounded selves. I believe this is sad still for many people, because the source of fulfillment, as far as I've seen it with everybody that I've worked with and also on myself, relies on our mundane and daily selves and relaxing so much into that aspect and version of ourselves that we tap into our own pleasure, bliss, ecstasy, and yes, orgasm. This is it. It's not the solution to our happiness and fulfillment here is not through the extraordinary. It's actually through our very accessible, really regular, everyday selves. And the last one that I want to bring for this video, though I feel that there will surely be a part 2, is this. What sounds like extremely boring, and here a lot of people put the coin or the term of vanilla to some, or something, what sounds like something brutal to others, and here you have BDSM and other extremely high impact sexual expressions, somehow end up in many cases as being projected onto the other as a lack or as a minus, or simply as their inability to relate differently or better to intimacy. In my experience as a coach, first of all, and then as a student, in all the classes that I took and all the people that I've learned from, those that are the most adept and skillful actually at intimacy, those that are the best lovers or intimate partners out there, are actually those who are open and curious to understand the other and see how they can relate to them in their language, or as close as possible to their erotic language. So they look for not what makes them different and what sets them apart, but they look for it with genuine and sheer desire to actually succeed in that. They look for what unites them, what their common grounds are, where they can speak the same language. And this is, if you think about it, this is also the ingredient to a successful love relationship, not just sexual and erotic relationship. So that's what I have for you right now. These are some of the things that I've noticed in the 7 years that I've been walking this path. Is it possible to have all of these with one person? That I cannot say. I haven't yet seen that in one relationship. So I haven't lived it and I haven't seen it in the people that I've worked with. That is not a surprise, because if somebody's happy and has all of these, they won't come in coaching. And had I been a happy and fulfilled person in my intimate life, I would have never started this path. I would have never gone to trainings. I would have never started a community around this. All right, so I'm going to stop right here. Check out all the resources that I have either on this channel or on my website. If you feel at any point there's something that you could learn, that it would really bring you beauty and just happiness to dive deeper and open up new pathways, or simply tap into new resources for yourself, then I would love for you to join this channel, join the programs that I have, and simply be a more open, expansive, fulfilled version of yourself. That's it. I'll see you in another video with more topics around intimate growth and intimate transformation.